I sat in a room and asked myself a question. Did I actually grow this year or did I just survive it? And the answer surprised me, and I think it would surprise you as well. I was depressed. I was depressed because I remember that a few months ago, I actually set a goal of hitting 1 million in sales of my ebook before the 5th of May, which is my birthday. And looking at the obvious results of that, public announcement, I had not even made up to like 10,000 from that product. As funny as that sounds. Probably I was, under the influence of Dunning-Kruger's effect. I saw someone who is selling the same thing, how to write an ebook using AI. He's selling his book for 40,000 naira. Yes, 40,000 naira. And I remembered that August 24th last year, when I was 18, I actually launched this podcast with my phone. I said, okay, let me go and check my statistics, my analytics, right? And I went to my podcast analytics and voila, the podcast has listeners in 19 countries already. Growth, the kind that actually changes who you are. It requires a decision every single time. For me, this is the exact reason why I didn't make the 1 million naira I proposed I was going to make. Neurological research shows that the prefrontal cortex, which is the identity development center of your brain, is not fully developed until you turn around 25 years. Being broke is the best place you can find yourself. Comfort heals faster than anything. Getting older is automatic. Growing is a decision. And the difference between the two is whether you are asking the right questions or you're just watching the calendar move. And I just gave you the right questions. If you're here right now, you already know something most people your age don't. That the conversation inside your head matters. That who you are becoming is more important than what you are achieving. And that the right words at the right time can change everything. You're listening to The Morning Gear. I am Divine Daniel, the Gen Z educator. Welcome back if you've been here before. And if you're new here, you are right on time. I need 3 things from you before we start. 1. Subscribe or follow. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Every subscription tells the algorithm that this podcast deserves to reach more people, and there are people in Nigeria, in Africa, across the world who needs this conversation. Help me get it to them. 2, like this episode. 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Like button on YouTube. It costs you nothing, but it means everything to me. 3, drop a comment anywhere. Tell me where you're listening from. Tell me what you are going through right now. This isn't a broadcast, it's a conversation, and I actually read what you write. The Morning Gear is currently heard in 19 countries, and it grows because people like you decide it's worth sharing. I am glad you are here, and I look forward to having you here over and over and over again. Now, let's get into it. Do you know that growing and getting older are 2 different things? Most people think growing is automatic, as getting older is automatic, but it's not. We get older every year, but unfortunately, most of us don't grow every year. I believe by the end of this episode, you'll be able to know exactly the difference between growing and just getting older. I turned 19 a few weeks ago, and a week before that, I sat in a room and asked myself a question. Did I actually grow this year or did I just survive it? And the answer surprised me, and I think it would surprise you as well. On that fateful afternoon, I was doom scrolling on Instagram, watching reels and all that. I sat on the bed, and while I was doom scrolling, my battery went down. And since there was light, I decided to go charge my phone before NEPA does its thing. Now, after I went to charge my phone, I came back to the room. I sat on the bed and I stared outside the window. And then I had to sit with myself, sit with my emotions, sit with my feelings and all that. Because that doom scrolling was a withdrawal method. Yes, was a withdrawal response, right? I was trying to withdraw from the actual emotions I was feeling at that point. But then as my phone went down and I sat on the bed, I had to sit with myself. So like I said, I turned 19 a few weeks ago on the 5th of May, and that week before that was when this happened. So after plugging my phone, I sat on the bed and looking out the window, I had to start recalling. I was depressed. I was depressed. Within the week, I have been depressed. Within that week, I have been depressed frequently. I wanted to leave the house, probably because, I was always at home because I'm very introverted. I rarely go out, except I need to rather. So I was sitting that day on the bed and I started to think, I turned 19 in a few days' time. What have I actually achieved? Did I actually grow? And that is why I'm bringing this episode to you. Now, because my phone was low, I was forced to stop scrolling and I had to sit on the bed and sit with myself, right? Now, on thinking, I had to check the calendar to know exactly how many days it was to my birthday. It was like 5 days to my birthday. Now I started to recall, what did I actually do? What have I actually achieved? Because I remember that a few months ago, I actually set a goal of hitting 1 million in sales of my ebook before the 5th of May, which is my birthday. And looking at the obvious result of that, public announcement, I had not even made up to like 10,000 from that product, as funny as that sounds. Now, that alone was enough for me to be depressed, because I had come out publicly to say I'm going to make 1 million naira and all that. Probably I was, under the influence of Dunning-Kruger's effect, which means people who are less competent feel like they are competent because they don't really know what it takes to achieve what they want to achieve. Then people who are actually more competent and know what it takes are less confident because they actually know the work they have to put into it to achieve what they want to achieve, something like that. In my scenario, that was the definition of what Dunning-Kruger effect was or is. Now, that alone got me depressed. I was just trying to, channel that feeling to something else. But then, within that moment of self-judgment and self-sabotaging, I had to come back. Now, that is why I decided to make this episode, the difference between growing and getting older. So, while thinking about it, I started to think, what exactly was the reason why I did not hit my goal of making 1 million in 72 days? Now, previously, because I'm recording this podcast like a few weeks after that, on that day, I thought that the reason was because I did not have the resources, right? In the sense that I did not have the money per se. No, I did not manage properly the money I had. But then thinking about it now, I actually don't have any excuse, because now, at this state of mind I am now, I saw that was not the actual reason, but I'm going to tell you the actual reason within the episode, right? I'm going to review to you the actual reason why I did not make that 1 million. And I will tell you that this is something that most people do not really admit, but is mostly because of our problems as young people who are trying to become great people, successful and all that. Getting older happens to you. It happens to you. You don't have a choice. As the year goes, years turns to decades turns to centuries, you get older. You don't have a choice. But growing happens because of you. Your body adds a year, whether you earned it or not. But growth, the kind that actually changes who you are, it requires a decision every single time. Now, here's the problem. We've been taught to measure our growth by our outcomes. Did you hit that goal? Did you make that money? Did you hit that follower count? Did you get the results? But then we forget to understand that outcomes are just lagging indicators of our lives. They tell you what happened last season. That is the outcomes. The outcome tells you what happened last season, but they did not tell you who you became because of what happened last season. So while I was thinking about everything, how my life was a misery and all that, because I felt like, what have I achieved? But as a very mindful and conscious person that I am, I had to think about my thoughts in a different light. Now, when we say that growth should be measured by who you became, I started to ask myself, who did I actually become? I started to remeasure my growth. Now, a lot of things happened within that month when I wrote my book. I stopped my job with my toxic boss, and I actually had a plan, and I actually executed that plan successfully. That is growth. And I remembered that August 24th last year, when I was 18, I actually launched this podcast with my phone. Now, last year, December, it was heard in like 11 countries, right? Now, when I was thinking, I said, okay, well, let me go and check, because my podcast has been on hiatus for quite a while now. And I said, okay, let me go and check my statistics, my analytics, right? And I went to my podcast analytics, and voila, the podcast has listeners in 19 countries already. A lot of circumstances would have let me not achieve that last year, but I still had that plan. I still executed it, and I can still see the result of that action. I actually grew. I did not just survive, I grew. In fact, I tell a lot of people that if you told me last year, the year before when I was 17, that by 18 I'll have a podcast which will be heard in 19 countries currently, I would not have believed you because it was never in my plan. But within the year, I had that vision and I was able to execute it. I had the plan late last year, December. I was able to write my ebook and I published it on my own. So I executed that plan. Now, I'm not just the podcast host. I am an author, as funny as that sounds. I am an author, which means what? I grew. I did not just survive it. I grew. I did something that I have never done before. I'm not trying to market myself or patronize myself, but the quality of my book, you would not find that anywhere for that price. I saw someone who is selling the same thing, how to write an ebook using AI. He's selling his book for 40,000 naira. Yes, 40,000 naira. And mine is just how much? And because I intentionally joined that class to say, okay, if you're selling the same thing, let me see how much value you're offering. I even saw the fact that I offered more value in terms of my explanation in the book, in terms of the bonus that came after buying the book. I offered more value than him, yet he's selling his book for what? 40,000 naira. That means I actually did achieve something. Now, within the year, I stopped my job, but then I can confidently come out to tell you that I am a pro at CCTV installation. Anywhere, I am a pro. Even if you take me to the president's house now to install CCTV, I will give him a very outstanding job. Yes. And this happened when I was still 18. So the year did not just pass me by. I actually grew. Now, on the path where I came out to publicly say I was going to make 1 million naira online, I was actually learning sales and marketing. Currently, I have a lot of knowledge on sales, especially on digital marketing. So I'm actually growing. I did not just let the year pass me by. You see how I am reframing the whole narrative. Listen attentively. I said I was going to reveal what made me not make that million, right? I'll still do that. Just keep listening. Now, within the year, I set a goal for myself that I want to be able to speak in a physical event. So I did apply. I planned everything and I executed it. And by God's grace, next week, hopefully, next week, Thursday, I would be having the opportunity to speak at an event. By God's grace. This is what we call growth. I did not just let the year pass me by. I actually grew with it. Did I hit the 1 million goal? No. But I learned specifically why I didn't. And that knowledge alone is worth more than the money would have been. Because the money would have been spent, but the lesson is in my head forever. So here's what I want to give you today. Not a goal setting exercise, not a vision board prompt. I call it the growth audit. 3 questions you can run on yourself on your birthday, or run them when the year ends, or run them when you need to know if you're actually growing. I call them the growth audits. And that's actually what I asked myself to be able to come to this conclusion that no, I did not just get older. In fact, I have achieved way more than the average 18-year-old would achieve currently in Nigeria. Will I remind you that I actually wrote JAM? Within all this, I actually wrote JAM after being off school for like 3 years. Though my result was not like, banging like that. Because I actually started preparation like 2 weeks before the exams. But then, I did well. It's only because I'm applying to Unilag. That's why I'm saying my result is fair. But if I was applying to other schools, then my result is more than enough to get me into my course of choice. So I did grow. So now, we're going to look at the questions. Question 1, who did you become this year? As I'm asking you now, ask yourself, who did you become this year? Not what did you do? Who are you now that you weren't like 12 months ago? Can you answer that question? For me, I became someone who ships. Who did I become? I become someone who is a doer. I don't just plan, I execute my plans. There were days I had to write, plan for the day, plan for the week, and I had to follow through and execute it. I did not just become someone who set a goal. I would not try to do something. So I'm not just someone who plans, I execute. So that is who I became. I could call myself a digital entrepreneur. I could call myself a digital marketer. Who did you become this year? That is the question you need to ask yourself. Question 2. What did you learn that you can never unlearn? What has these past few months taught you? Or what have this age taught you that you can never unlearn? What is that irreversible education? For me, this is the exact reason why I did not make the 1 million naira I proposed I was going to make. Listen attentively and hold your ears. Being broke is the best place you can find yourself. Take it from me. Being broke is the best place you can find yourself. See, whenever I'm broke, my problem-solving skills is activated, like really, really activated. I think of ways to achieve. Probably when I was not broke, I was seeing that to achieve this goal or to solve this problem, there's only one way. But when I am broke, I'll see like 10 different ways I can use to solve this exact problem. So that is what this year has taught me. Being broke is a beautiful place to find yourself. In fact, it draws me closer to God. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know if it's only me, but being broke draws me closer to God. So that is that irreversible education this year has taught me. Being broke is the best place you can find yourself as someone who wants to make impact. Because why I did not make my first 1 million naira online before I turned 19 was because within that year, within that point or that period of time when I was writing my book, I was really broke. Within that time I made that video, I was really, really broke. So I saw the vision and I knew I could achieve it. But do you know what stopped me? Comfort. Now, after making that video, I could tell you I got like 3 jobs or 4 jobs on CCTV installation that actually gave me money that was able to sustain me up until this month of May. And I'm not capping. And I am not capping. So comfort was the killer of that goal. When I set that goal, I was really broke and I saw I could achieve it if I remained in that state of mind. But because of that, I got money, I was like, okay, I probably need money to run ads. I probably need money to do this. And I'm not managing the money I have well. But then looking at it, it was just comfort. Because now I am broke again. Yes, I'm saying this on air. I am broke again. And I'm telling you that I've already found the solution to that problem. The way my brain used to work here, Jesus. I've already found the solution to that problem. So comfort is a killer of destiny, is a killer of your goal. So that is one irreversible knowledge I've gained from this year. Strive to be in a place that makes you uncomfortable. Strive to be in a position that makes you uncomfortable because comfort kills faster than anything. Comfort kills your growth. Comfort halts your growth. So strive to be in a place that makes you uncomfortable. So now I ask you again, what did you learn that you can never unlearn? What has your current age taught you that you can never unlearn? If there is nothing, then your growth is questionable. It is really, really questionable. Question 3. What are you still carrying that doesn't belong to who you are becoming? What mindset, let me put it that way, what mindset are you still carrying that doesn't belong to who you are becoming? What habits, what belief, what relationship is from a version of you that you should have outgrown? Now, to answer this question, you have to understand something. Who are you trying to become? If you don't know that, then you have a long way to go. So now ask yourself, who are you trying to become? Now, if you have the answer to that question, then you can answer this full question. For me, it was the mindset that failure means you have failed. That failure is a bad thing. Let me put it that way. The mindset I had before was like failure is a bad thing. Public failure, public disgrace, shame, they all existed. But no, they don't. They only exist in your own head. They only exist in your own mentality. They only exist in your own view of life. Failure means you found a way that something would not work. Because I failed, I did not make my first 1 million naira online. That just means that I found a way that it would not work out for me. I found a process that would not help me make my first 1 million naira online. Now I can never repeat that mistake. You cannot come to me and say, hey, you set a goal, you did not achieve it, yada, yada, yada. That what happened? You can't fit, So what mindset are you still carrying that is kind of limiting you or that will not suit that person you are trying to become? You need to answer the question. Listen, getting older is automatic. I'll say that again. Getting older is automatic. Growing is a decision. And the difference between the two is whether you are asking the right questions or you're just watching the calendar move. And I just gave you the right questions to ask. Tonight, before you sleep, run the audit on yourself. In fact, after listening to this podcast, go and run that audit. Now, don't wait. See, if you don't run that audit, like you postpone it, then just wasted these few, 30 minutes or so minutes of your time, of your life. So run that audit. If you truly want to become a better person, you run that audit. Let me tell you something. Research shows that, listen attentively, neurological research shows that the prefrontal cortex, which is the identity development center of your brain, is not fully developed until you turn around 25 years. So this means what you decide about your life in this period sets the trajectory for your life in the next decade. For the next decade. I'm going to say that again. Research shows that the identity development in the 18 to 25 years window is the most critical aspect of a person's life. And now, what you decide at this age about yourself in this period set the trajectory of your life for decades. Most people who are unsuccessful let this window pass unconsciously. If you are planning not to be unsuccessful, then you should take this very seriously. Whatever you've learned now, go and implement it right now. And know if you are not growing, what can you actually do to ensure that you are growing and not getting older? Ask yourself the 3 questions. Who did you become? What did you learn that you can never unlearn? And what are you still carrying that does not belong to you anymore? Write it down. Say it to yourself. Think about it. Ponder on it. Don't just listen and pass. Don't just listen and scroll. Don't just listen for listening's sake. Don't just listen to feel inspired. Don't just listen to feel motivated. Listen and act. Be the doer and not just the hearer alone. And if this episode has landed, then share this with someone, one person. At least now you know why you should share it. Send it to your WhatsApp status and send this to someone who needs to hear it today. You just sat through this entire episode. That means something about you. It means you're not the kind of person who just cruise past the things that matter. You stop, you listen, and you think. And that is exactly the kind of person the Refined Gen was built for. The Refined Gen is our community, a space for people like you who are done just existing and ready to actually become. If you are not in it yet, the link is in the description. Come join us. Now, if you're someone who believes in what we are building here and you want to be part of it in a bigger way, we are open. If you want to come on as a guest and have real conversations, if you want to sponsor this podcast and get your brand in front of some of the most ambitious young minds in Africa, if you want to advertise, collaborate, or partner with us in any way, we want to hear from you. Reach out to us on Instagram at The Morning Gear or send us an email. All the contact info is in the description. This is The Morning Gear podcast and we are just getting started. I am Divine Daniel, the Gen Z educator. Don't thank me, outgrow me, and then stay refined.